This podcast, including all discussions and examples, is for informational purposes only and does not constitute professional advice. The views expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any government agency or company. This week, we're joined by our very own Kate Kinnear, Olympic field hockey player turned VP of Contracts at ADS. This is From the Dive Shop.
Welcome back to From the Dive Shop. I'm Jen Weir-Edwards, and I'm very excited today to welcome my dear friend, Kate Kinnear, to our show. Kate is our VP of Contracts and is an Olympic athlete, and we're going to have a great time talking to her today. How you doing, Kate?
I'm doing great, Jen. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I know this is not something that you're profoundly comfortable with, so I'm really excited that you were willing to do this because you're cool.
Thanks, Jen. I appreciate that.
Hey, no problem.
I'm happy to be here, and we're going to have a good time.
Yeah, we
Let's
sure
have some
are.
fun.
How's your day going today?
It's going well. I just got back from lunch with some of our coworkers,
Awesome.
Celebrating the end of the fiscal year.
I don't know when this is going to drop, but for our purposes, we just basically finished the biggest part of our year with a whole lot still to come. But we just did so much over, and by we, I mean Kate, just did so much over a period of like 5 days. It's absolutely insane. So for the folks that don't know, tell us a little bit about what your job is.
So I am the Vice President of Contracts. I started with ADS 22 and a half years ago. So it's been a minute since I've been here. And I have the privilege of working with a fantastic team who oversees and manages our long-term contracts. So we are the liaison between the government contracting offices and then our sales team. And then we work with the internal departments to make sure that contractually we meet. We do what we say we're going to do, and we meet those contractual requirements and make sure that the warfighter ultimately gets the equipment that they need timely.
Awesome. For folks that follow the podcast, you've probably seen a lot of our what I would consider customer-facing people that have been on the show, and they're very. It sounds like kind of more glamorous and exciting, and we can't do anything. We can't sell a thing. We can't get a piece of product into the hands of a warfighter without what Kate and her team does. So personally, for my team, you have been a godsend always, but the last couple of days, you really have saved our asses. So thank you so much for that. 22 and a half years, but who's counting? What'd you start out doing?
A little bit of an interesting story. I was actually, as you mentioned, I am an Olympic athlete, so I was playing field hockey.
And we're going to totally talk about that too, but let's first start about how you got here.
Yes, so our team, we had not qualified in 2000, and so they relocated us and built the training center out in by the Princess Anne Field House out by the amphitheater.
And field hockey.
Field
right?
hockey, yes, sorry, I apologize.
I
Yes.
accidentally called it soccer the other day, and you were like, what?
Oh, no. Yes, field hockey, or hockey as many of the European countries and other countries know it as. But yes, field hockey. So I was chasing a ball around the field, representing the red, white, and blue. And so I had moved to Virginia Beach and had run into and met my now husband, Glenn Kinnear, who is a retired commander. Also 22 and a half years in the service. So I had met him. He had just gotten into the reserves and started working for ADS. And so I was chasing a ball around a field and working for Home Depot. They were an Olympic job opportunity sponsor. Fantastic opportunity, allowed me to have some sort of income. Hockey is not a very glamorous, it's not very wealthy sport. And so we had to make a living outside of just the sport itself. And so Home Depot had a partnership with the Olympic team sports, and so I was slinging paint cans, mixing paint for contractors, for homeowners, and
I bet you looked really good in that orange apron.
Yes, with the paint.
We
smears,
need a photo of that
with the paint smears all over me. Yes, so slinging paint cans, and Glenn was number 6 employee for ADS when we were Atlantic Diving Supply over on Great Neck Road in the dive shop over there, and he said, "Hey, maybe they could use a little bit of extra help." And so I said, sure. So I met the owners and came on board and just started getting lunch for people, answering phones, and pulling the fax machines, invoicing, whatever they needed me to do. I was able to come in for a few hours here and there, give me some cash in my pocket, bought some training gear and things like that. And so it just kind of slowly develops. And as I saw ADS and the mission and what the company stood for, and the folks that worked here, and ultimately the war fighters that were coming in and the impact it really resonated with me. Obviously, wearing the red, white, and blue, I'm very patriotic. I love the United States. We are very, very fortunate, the best country in the world. And so I found it very rewarding for what the ADS mission was from the very infant stage of the company. And so I wanted to be a part of that. And so I slowly increased my hours here, would go on tour, go to England, to Australia, to New Zealand, come back, put some hours in, and just stayed connected. And did whatever they asked me to, and eventually had some teammates that were like, hey, that sounds kind of fun. And so some of my teammates joined the ADS team, and we just, found something outside of the hockey world.
So I've been here 19 3/4 years, if we're going to be really specific about it. So I started a little after you, and I'll never forget, I came on in HR, and everybody kept talking about, oh yeah, the hockey girls. I'm like, what even is that? Is that a department? What is it? And then after a few weeks, I came to find out that almost the entire women's field, not to be confused with the men's field hockey team. That's not even a thing.
There is a men's field hockey team. Yes, don't take that one.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Actually, hockey is the second most popular sport in the world.
No kidding.
With men's being, more predominant than the women's.
See, this is such an educational podcast.
See?
I love it.
Don't discount the men in those kilts. They don't wear kilts, but
that's a whole different podcast.
Yes.
I love a man in a kilt. Anyway, but then I came to find out that the vast majority of the Olympic field hockey team or the U.S. field hockey team was working at ADS in our warehouse and in various places all around the organization, which was just cool and weird. And another fun fact about ADS, one of the things we've really enjoyed talking to with some of our other guests is the trajectory within ADS, because I think it's really cool that we have the ability to do a lot of different things. My story is one of those where I started out doing one thing and now I do something completely different, and I've continued to get to grow. And everybody we've talked to has kind of had that opportunity. I really want to get into your career as an athlete, though. So we're going to come back to ADS, but I assume you've been chasing a ball around a field probably for a really long time.
Yes. Since I was in 7th grade is when I was first introduced. I played every other sport. I grew up in a very small town, blue-collar family. Mom and dad both worked 2 jobs, one of 5 kids, not very well off, and just had to work hard. And I knew that I was very fortunate that I was athletic. I grew up in an athletic family outside of my immediate family, but very, very fortunate that I had some athletic ability, and people saw that in me. And I found hockey was a way that I could express myself. I'm not very outgoing. I don't really, until I get comfortable. But it was a way for me to express myself, and it was something that I excelled at. And I realized early on at that age, and folks, my coaches at that point, recognized my abilities and saw that there was something different about me, which I attribute my success in my athletic career to them for putting me and setting me up for success in the athletic realm. And so I kind of made my path through. My parents had to have a payment plan to get me to go to certain camps and things because we just didn't have the financial means to do that. But it was a way for me that I knew that if I wanted to and I could put my head to it, that was a way for me to get to college to then, and I'll never forget in 1984 watching Mary Lou Retton competing in the Olympic Games. And that's where the seed was planted. And I saw that was something that was so special to me, and just the impact and just the incredible strength and just commitment and just love of country and just sport and just pure athleticism. And that was something that really just planted inside of me. Mm-hmm. And at that moment, I didn't think I didn't know that that's what I was born to do, per se, but I knew it was something that I wanted to at least go after. And so that kind of was embedded in me. And then, fortunately, I was able to go to North Carolina, received a scholarship there.
I was going to ask, you went to one of those schools in the Southeast.
Tar Heel, yes. I am a heel. And had an incredible leader as a coach, Karen Shelton there, who I owe my life to. And my teammates just changed my life. It was, everyone said, oh, you're from Pennsylvania, you're a homebody. I had some personal things going on. She's going to stay close to home. She's going to go to Penn State. Everyone had me in as Penn State. I'll never forget Karen Shelton showed up in a snowstorm in Pennsylvania, which is much different than in Virginia Beach, 2.5 feet of snow. And she made a point to make it to my house. Showed up at my house, and she put a Carolina parka on it and said, "We have your number 22 jersey if you want to be a part of it." And at that moment, I knew that she was special, that Carolina was special. And it was the place that I needed to go. Even though it was 7.5 hours away from school, I was, very, very nervous, homesick. But it was the best decision that I've ever made, and really set me up. Karen has taught me leadership outside of the field. Athletics is, it's a part of my life, and it always has been, and it always will be very special. But there's so much more to life than athletics and chasing a ball. And Karen really, truly shaped who I am today, along with my teammates. And then, as I joined the national team after Carolina.
And what does that look like? It's a really rigorous, obviously, really rigorous tryout process, right? What is that like?
It's different now than it was when I was there, obviously, when I was going through the pipeline. But there's certain avenues or channels and camps and things that you have to attend. There's open tryouts at times, but you have to be in a pool of players. Now there's coaches, college coaches that kind of do some recruiting throughout the collegiate season and such. So there's different ways that you can now. It's a lot different. It was a little bit more rigorous. It was where you go to an A and a B camp. So you would work at, I was the first baby B camp, and then if you make that, then you get pulled up to A camp, and then that's where they would pick the national team.
Wow.
And so, it was challenging. Obviously, you have to train all year round, and know you have to be committed to it. You're going to miss weddings, funerals, birthdays, all of the things. And at that point, the U.S. was not super high up in the ranks. We had very disappointing, with the Olympics, every country that has a team doesn't automatically qualify.
Right.
And so 96, being the host country, you automatically get a bid. And so 96 we had an Olympic, we won bronze there, which was fantastic finish. And then in 2000, we didn't qualify. And so that was my first exposure. I was on the under-21 team and such. And 2000 was when my first big disappointment of being on the national team. And, Carolina, we won 3 national championships. And, and then going to the national team, we weren't very successul. We were losing more than we were winning. And that was a difficult transition where it was hard for me to understand and be okay with losing. I'm not very good at losing. And I think that's
a theme for this company.
For AES. We do not like losing. And so I think that didn't sit well with me. And so in 2004, when we didn't qualify again, I decided, and I was working with ADS and such in 2004, we didn't qualify for the Sydney Games. The heartache was too much. And I said, okay, I need to grow up and move on. I can't do this anymore. And so I had stepped away and retired, at the ripe age of 28, 29. And so I joined ADS full time.
Okay.
And so I took a break there. And then I got a phone call. And that was our Australian coach, Lee Bottomede, and Terry Walsh, who was the high performance director, came back and were named as the head coaches and coaching staff. And they humbly asked me, they said, Tiki, who's my nickname. My maiden name is Barber, after Tiki Barber, who played at Virginia at the same time I was at Carolina. And so my nickname is Tiki. And they called me and they said, we've been talking to some folks within the organization, and they said, you are the one person that we need to bring back.
I have total chills.
And so with that, I was extremely, I was like, well, I'll bring my whistle and I'll ref and I'll be involved in things like that. And so I went away, and then our dear friend Jerome was my outside sales rep. Amazing man, human, just incredible American. I just listened to a voicemail from him this morning that I stumbled upon, which was, yes, he knew that I was doing this, and so he spoke to me. But anyway, I was his we were paired inside-outside, Marine Corps inside and outside sales rep. And I didn't call my dad, I didn't call my mom, I didn't call Dan, I didn't call Jason, I called Jerome.
Wow. And
I said, Jerome, I have this opportunity, and they asked me to come back, and he got those big eyes. And he said, yes, let's do it. And I said, that means that I wouldn't be able to be your inside rep anymore. I'd have to commit.
And he said, no.
And he said, that is what you were born to do.
That's awesome.
And so at that moment, I decided to go back and rejoin the team as captain. And 2.5 years later, we qualified in Kazan, Russia. I'm a Philadelphian, so Rocky Balboa, Rocky IV, took place in Russia, beating the Russian. So it was kind of ironic. I mean, everything happens, comes full circle, but we were in Kazan, Russia. I had lost my mom the year prior to lung and brain cancer, and my dad and my brother made the trip. And we qualified, and it was pretty incredible. Before my mom passed, I made a promise to her that I was going to be an Olympian. And so my teammates came in and said the same thing and said, we're going to do it. And so my dad and my brother and I embraced on that field in 25-degree, 30-degree weather with snow around the field. And we had landed our spot in the Beijing Olympics.
So
and so that was pretty much the tip of my athletic career that I'm probably singly most proud about.
We're going to edit out the fact that we're both crying, right? Because I'm like, that's just an amazing, I have chills. It's so cool. So obviously you work your ass off up until then. What was it like walking into that stadium for the Olympics?
So with the Olympics, right, United States, so the way that they do it is they have all the countries walk in alphabetically outside of the host country who goes last. And so United States were one of the last. And so they put us over into one of the cube, it was, I believe, where the swimming and diving championships were and things like that. And so they had us there kind of staged, waiting for our turn. And so you had Kobe Bryant, you had all the professional athletes, you had Federer, you had all the folks just taking photos and just kind of mingling around, and you could see on the big screen the teams walking in, the excitement just builds and builds. And, President Bush and his dad, Senior, were both there. And so we got to meet with them.
Oh yeah, pull that up.
Let's so this is my father-in-law. There. My father-in-law gave this to me after the Olympics, but it's me and 43. So 41 and 43, President Bush and President Bush Senior were both there.
Wow.
And so that goes with me everywhere. But so we were waiting, and then you go into the bird's nest. I think everyone's kind of familiar with the bird's nest. It's been a minute since the Olympics, since I was there, but and you come in through the tunnel, and so you have all the other contingencies, and everybody kind of funnels into this one area. And I'll never forget, we were in the tunnel waiting our turn for them to say, okay, let's go U.S. And all of a sudden, the entire contingency just starts chanting USA. And it just echoes and echoes. And at that moment, I lost it because I realized that what I had told my mom came true. And so we walked out as the U.S. Contingency, and it was pretty incredible to come out of that and see the mass of people and knowing the billions of people that were watching that same moment. Mm-hmm. And just being there with your teammates and every other athlete there is there because they put the work in.
Right.
And they put the time in, and because they just love the sport and they love their country, and you're representing something so much greater than yourself. And so it's just something that will live with me forever. And I'm so thankful that my brother talked me into going back and saying, hey, don't give up on it yet.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for doing that, because certainly it made you some of who you are today, but just so cool to get to know you. I mean, it's like seems really anticlimactic to talk about ADS right now.
Well, and that's why, to be honest, that's why I don't really love talking about that part of my life, because there's so many men and women who are part of ADS that did so much more than chase a ball around a field. And so I would discount that. But I've realized over the years that each and every one of us at ADS has a very special story and experience that makes us who we are and what we are. Mm-hmm. And those that have served, that work for ADS, like they get it at a whole nother level than what I could ever imagine or ever equate to. So yes, my story is special, but I was chasing a ball. They were dodging bullets.
Right.
They were doing real life things and sacrificing so much more than what I ever could. And so I've hidden away from that because I respect those that have served so much, and just you can't put a price tag or put any type of accolade on what they have accomplished in their life and their career.
So how was it to retire from the sport? I know you still coach now, right?
I do occasionally here and there. I did some local high school coaching for some time. And then my kids started to play sports, and I didn't want to miss out on that. And ADS continued to grow and things like that. And so I don't do as much coaching now, some individual lessons here and there. But they call it kind of the Olympic depression. You go through that, and that's all you know. That's all you are. Similar to a military career or any career that you change, right? That's all you know, and that's what you've grown and live and breathe.
And you've operated in a team environment, and the rest of life isn't quite like that. And I know I hear that from a lot of our former military too. That it's just a different social world. It's a different engagement with people than when you're in a team environment, constantly relying on each other.
100%, and operating at the same speed and at the same pace. And now you're operating somewhat at the same speed and pace, but in a different magnitude. And so it was a challenge. And I think it still is a challenge, but it's also transitioned me into the contracts team and kind of the competitive, right? And the team. We're all about teamwork here at ADS. And our sales team is the best in the business, the best in the industry. Subject matter experts, all in all regard, right? The most professional, most dedicated, boots on the ground, folks that just will do whatever it takes. And
if we can't do whatever it takes, we'll call you.
Well, but that's what makes us great is because you know when your limits are met, and then you have a phone a friend,
right?
And I have a phone a friend, and so we all rely on each other, and so it's that teamwork that while it's not chasing a ball around a field, we're still chasing something, a customer's requirement, not chasing that requirement, but chasing to make sure that they get what fulfilling that requirement and making sure that they have what they need, because that's more important than anything that we could possibly do. And it doesn't matter the size of the order. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter so long as we know that we are completing and doing what we say we're going to do, and executing and delivering what we say.
And while, if I may, while you are very self-deprecating about chasing a ball around the field, it's not about the chasing the ball around the field. It's the commitment. It's the fact that even if you didn't want to, you got up every day and you beat your body and your mind into doing that work. And that is very, to me, analogous to a lot of the folks that are former military that work here, that whatever the goal is, everyone's doing it as hard as they can because there's a lot on the table. There's a lot on the line. And you're one of the hardest working people that I know. And it's really a pleasure to get to work with you and see your leadership. And again, I started a couple of years after you, but I think we sort of rose through the company 100%. Very much together. And watching you grow into this leadership role, you're definitely, to me, a servant leader, and you're a quiet leader, but you're so powerful at it. How has that come about to you? Has that been innate? Is it something you've cultivated and worked on? How have you come into kind of how you approach leadership now?
I think it's my family life, my upbringing.
Okay.
My grandfather was instrumental in helping me become an athlete. He passed away early on, but I'll never forget, sitting in the living room, him teaching me how to bunt with a broomstick, right? Like just very, and he always said, no matter how hard you're working and how good you think you are, there's somebody that's better than you, and there's somebody that's working harder than you. And so until you can say that, that you're there, then there's always going to be somebody that's better. And so that's the challenge. And so then my mom, who also obviously no longer here, but she was a tremendous leader within her family. She's gone through a lot. She was one of 8 kids and was the leader of her team. And then having the experiences with Karen Shelton, having her as my leader, as my coach at Carolina, being a quiet, doing the work, being willing to do the work. And I think you said, you sent me a text during the end of the fiscal year, and I fired something back. And I just said, well, if you can't ask somebody to do something that you're not willing to do yourself.
Right.
And that's always just been my upbringing. My mom and dad were very hardworking. And I think leading by example means more than leading with words and forcing the things, and allowing people. So I don't know if I've answered your question.
Sure.
It's more of an innate thing, I think, that I didn't like being the center. I didn't like being the vocal leader. I've learned to kind of embrace that a little bit more. But I think just doing what you say you're going to do and then leading by example and putting the hard work in, I think speaks a lot more than any lecture that you can give anybody.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's the people that I've been around, fortunate enough to learn from and grab nuggets from, pieces here and there. My brother just retired from 25 years at the Pennsylvania State Police, so I've seen him as a sergeant. So leading folks, a lieutenant. Sorry, Brian, if I got that wrong. My brother's very successful in the business and banking. My brother does well. My sister's a teacher. So I've just been surrounded. I'm so fortunate with the people that I've grown up in my life that have kind of shown me the way and shown me how to be a leader. My dad is the quietest man on the face of the earth, but the most caring and loving and just inspiring. Just with his gentle, soft voice. So I think I get that from him to a certain degree. My mom was the feisty one. She was the chatterbox. She was the bark. But Dad was just the steady Eddie. Mm-hmm. And so, I think it's just kind of an innate quality that I'm fortunate to be able to share. And I have amazing people on my team. They make me look good every day. I mean, I can't tell you how many times people thank me, and I really, truly, and I'm not just saying this, would not be as successful as I am without a team that works directly with me, for me, but then the surrounding team as well. I mean, we really, truly work amazingly together. I have a lot of tenured folks on my team who just give the same level of effort every single day, and I know I can count on them. And so it inspires me, like to want to be there with them.
Well, working with you always inspires me, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so switching gears a little bit. We talked about the fact that you are our phone a friend, that at least for my team, and I think for a lot of teams, we do everything we can to figure out the problems that we're pushing toward contracts or when a customer comes to us with a problem, we do everything we can to exhaust all of our resources before we escalate it, because we're like, all right, if we're going to bring Kate in on this, we better have our shit together. So typically what we bring to you is what we have found is either the unsolvable problem or the really weird request that we just can't figure out how to unwind. And I dare say mine is not the only team that experiences that. So what are some of the weirdest problems you've helped unwind in this job?
Ooh, that's a good one. The weirdest problems?
Or even some of the weirdest things you've helped customers procure. Because a lot of times we're like, we don't know how to get this through, but we know the customer really needs it. And you find a way to get things done.
Well, I think you know the tiny house.
Oh, God bless America.
The little tiny house that we needed to assist a company. So
I need a nap from that.
Well, I don't know if there's any one in particular that comes top of mind, right? I think the beauty of it is that you all identify, and when I say you all, our sales team identifies,
Sure.
have these conversations with customers, and they're like, bleh, I have this. And then you piece it together, like you said, and you present it to us, and then we put our brains together to figure out how that could fit into what particular contract vehicle. And so I think the beauty of that and what I enjoy the most is it's like a puzzle. Like, I love puzzles. We do that with my mother-in-law when she comes down for Christmas. We lay it out, and it's like putting a piece of a puzzle together. And there's never the same path to get to the end result. And so I think whatever it may be, it's never a pair of boots anymore. It used to be a pair of boots. It used to be a pair of wetsuits.
I miss selling socks.
I miss selling socks, too. Very compliant. I mean, that was easy now.
Right.
I mean, now we're talking about massive drones and UAS and these communication systems, that SATCOM radio and all of that. And so it's so sophisticated, and we're so much more advanced. And we've expanded our portfolio so far beyond, when we first started.
And the customers are so much more sophisticated.
They truly are.
The needs seem, just in my short tenure in this industry, I feel like the things that we're helping with are just so much more complex than they ever were. It used to be we were sort of a one-stop to help them get the stuff they needed, the socks and the boots and the tents. And we still help with that. But now they're like, I need a complete, I need a golden dome. Not that we're working on the golden dome, though we will if anyone needs our help. But, the kinds of things that we're working on to shoot drones out of the sky. And I don't know. It just blows my mind, the level of complexity. So I know the weird things we bring you. So I can't imagine what you must see across the horizon of a full fiscal year with us.
Yes, there's certainly some interesting ones. And I'm like, yeah, we got to have to pump the brakes.
Right.
Lawnmowers that come through and you're like, well, we're really not in the lawn mowing business.
That's not really us.
Not really us. But yes, and again, to your point, the level of sophistication that some of these requirements are, and that's where we rely on our partnered suppliers, those the SMEs in the field that are designing and developing these that we wouldn't be successful. Back in the day, people would say, well, you're just a pass-through when we were doing boots. And yeah, but now the value that ADS brings on a level in conjunction with the partnered suppliers that are known in the industry and are the true experts, and some of the innovative things that Otto has done with the dagger, right? Like being able to put all of those things together for a common solution to meet a customer's need. That's pretty special. It's pretty amazing and pretty special to say that we're behind that and we're able to set customers up for success and then deliver it, right? It's one thing to say that you can do this is a good idea, right? But then to actually see it delivered and see it being executed and being used is pretty special.
So when we were talking earlier this week, you told me about one of those that you have a particular memory about, something that we had delivered that was particularly poignant and I can't remember. You're going to have to edit this part out because I can't remember what it was. You told me the story. Was it the boots?
Just the pair of boots?
Was it the pair of boots? Yes.
The Marine?
Yeah.
Right. So we've done all of these sophisticated, new projects, new requirements that customers bring to us. But to this day, the one that truly resonates with me, and this goes years back. I mean, we're probably talking 19 when I first was a Marine Corps inside sales rep, so 19, 20 years pushing. And a dad whose son it was Iraq, Afghanistan. He had just gotten activated and was going to be deployed. I can't recall if it was Iraq or Afghanistan, regardless. And he was frantic. And I said, "Sir, what can I help you with?" And he said, "My son is being deployed. He's going into the cold months, and he doesn't have some steel-toed boots. And they don't have his size, they don't have his color." And I was like, "Sir, okay." I was like, "Let me take your information down." And so frantic, I don't know who it was, but we were able to call some suppliers and was able to find the size. It wasn't the particular color, but a couple days later, I got a phone call from that dad, and he was on the verge of tears because he took the time, he just wanted to thank me and say that, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that my son received his boots today. They leave tomorrow. So thank you for making that happen. Now I know that he's going to at least be able to walk and protect his feet." And so we have, we've been very successful in some of these large, but to me, that is something that's why we do what we do. Because it's that young soldier who was going to fight for our freedom didn't have a pair of boots, and that wasn't going to happen, not on our watch. And so that's why we do what we do. And again, yes, over the years, it's completely grown dramatically from 6 to nearly 500. And it's been so much fun and enjoying the journey with you.
Absolutely.
You've made it a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, a lot of late hours, a lot of different hats. And you still put some of those hats back on from time to time.
Every so often.
But it's so rewarding, and I can't imagine not being a part of it.
So given your experience in this industry, what would you say to somebody that's just getting started?
I would say do it for the right reasons. Do it because you enjoy it. Do it because you understand the mission. And don't just do it for the dollars or your bank account. You can't, because you can't have the drive and the energy if that's all that is your end game. Do it because you understand the sacrifice that those that are deploying or not deployed or here serving, because you understand what they're giving up for us to be able to go home at night and put our head on a pillow and allow our children to go to school and to be safe. And so I would just say, don't just settle for par. Don't just settle for being status quo. Challenge yourself, find something that really, truly inspires you, and then let that drive you. and don't think that where you are today is where you're going to be in 5, 10, 15 years, because that road may meander, it may split, it may take you somewhere else, and may bring you back. But allow your central beliefs and your central morals and your central drive and being be what kind of takes you down that path.
So, Kate, you didn't want to do this, but you have crushed it. It is such a treat to get to talk to you and hear a little bit more about you. For all the time I've known, some of those stories I hadn't heard before, so that's really thrilling. And you are just a true great American and a wonderful colleague and mentor and friend. And I'm so thankful that everyone that listens to our podcast is going to have the ability to hear a little bit more about you. And now we'll leave you alone and let you go back in your corner and work and not bother you for at least a little while.
Yes. Thank you,
so
Jen,
much
for having me.
And thank you for listening to or watching or whatever it is we do with this thing from the Dive Shop. If you have any thoughts or comments or questions, please drop some comments below. And if you want to be on the podcast, get in touch with us. Thank you so much for joining us on From the Dive Shop.